Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney,
I'm MK.
and how are you?
I am pretty good. I had a lovely time this weekend. Aside from the 82 hours that I worked, I also went to a wedding with Dan's family. The other side of his family that I don't see as often. Weirdly, his cousin who got married, I knew a long time ago because she was in my sister's class in high school. And her maid of honor was on my sister's lacrosse team. Um, so I knew her well before I knew him, which is weird. But yeah, and
Sounds
it was
alright.
and all of his aunts and uncles who I've never met before just pulled me aside at different points in the wedding to just tell me how happy they are that Dan has me and how much they love seeing how he is now that he's found me and all of this stuff, and I just wanted to cry all night.
So sweet.
It was so beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
And then he continued to prove that he is the greatest human ever by sending a care package to my work this morning with all of the get well stuff because I still have a little bit of a head cold. And he sent me cough drops and tea, and then had the audacity to text me to apologize that he forgot to send honey with the tea. And I was like, babe, you literally sent me more things than I would have taken care of myself. Stop.
That's so funny.
But
Also, you work at a school, there's probably honey somewhere in the building if I had to
yeah,
guess.
I'm sure if I really needed to find it, I could have
Right.
found it. But also, I had tea in my classroom, so I didn't need to go anywhere. It was so nice. I just cleaned out my Keurig and had some peach organic. It was peach honey tea anyway. There's already honey in it.
You don't need
Yeah.
any then.
Yeah. So it was great. He's sweet and everybody thought I was pretty and that was nice. I felt really, really good. And then I worked. And that's really all I've done.
It's
Yeah.
okay. That's lovely though.
Yeah. They had a live band at the wedding,
Mm-hmm.
um, which was good, but also Dan and I both were talking about how after seeing the live band and the start of the night, we both very like took a second and were like, oh, maybe we do want a live band instead of a DJ. And then by the end of the night, we were like, no, no, we don't. Because they were really great and they had a lot of fun. But A, the volume with a live band, out of control.
Out of control, yeah.
And B,
It's very much an outside wedding, it has live
yeah.
music. Mm-hmm.
And B, the variety of music just can't compete when you don't have the range.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, how are you? How's your life?
Well, I have two matters of business today.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
First, and probably most important, it's not about me, but it's most important probably. American Horror Story Delicate premiered last week,
Oh,
and
did it?
I meant to post about it on Friday, and then I meant to post about it on Saturday, and then I meant to post about it on Sunday, and I still haven't. So
Hmm.
one day I'll say something about it on our social media probably.
Okay.
Um, but this is the one I read the book for.
Oh, right,
Um,
right, right.
and it was really good. I see what they did because obviously, Emma Roberts is the main girl, and in the
Yeah.
book, someone who's in her early to mid 40s and a washed out actress, and she's trying to play that role, but in her mid 30s, and it's not quite the same, but it's getting the same.
Right.
It's fine, I guess. But Matt Shushkri, I don't know how to say his last name.
Oh, yeah. We talked about
I
that.
adore him. He's in it. Um, MK is in it, and she actually does a good job. So I'm pretty stoked for this season. So if everyone else is stoked, or everyone else is watching, please talk to me about it.
I did hear that a lot of people were going to be boycotting it,
Because of the strike or because of
because
MK.
no, because they crossed the picket line to finish filming,
Yeah.
and I not really super stoked on that because
Yeah.
it's not the first time that I've heard that Ryan Murphy has
Yeah.
done shady shit, which
That's what I was gonna say.
sucks.
But he's also like he's the producer. He's not the writer on this one. He's not the director on this one. He's still at fault. So I'm not like
Yeah.
saying not at fault, but I'm saying like think about these other people maybe
No, no,
not.
no, for sure.
But yeah, no, I did hear that and that is a bummer, but I will be watching. Sorry about it. Um
Also, we talked about how we had seen the Demi Lovato episode of The Masked Singer. I did not realize that that was going to be another week and a half before there was an actual episode of the show.
yeah, I'm not caught up. So
That's
we're
because
watching.
no, there isn't another episode yet.
Oh, there hasn't been another one since the Demi Lovato one.
No, no, I don't think. I know there definitely wasn't one last week. There might have been one last night.
So maybe so
But
they did say Hulu kept saying it premieres the 27th, but then the first episode ended up being like on the 10th.
yeah, no,
And so
that first
maybe
episode
that's
on
what
the
it
10th.
was.
No, that first episode on the 10th was just a premiere season, whatever. The actual episodes are Wednesday nights, so they don't premiere till this week.
So much more sense. That makes so much
Yeah,
more sense than a
because that
Sunday.
episode was terrible.
Yeah, that's good to know. So I'm watching it like every other week because I'm watching it with my aunts, and that's when they're
Yeah.
together. My laptop's already dying.
Okay. Yeah, no, The Masked Singer is not on until Wednesday.
Good. Okay, good. Then I'm not behind.
Yeah.
Good to know. So there's that, and then also more related to me, but not horror. Oh gosh, I'm gonna adjust in a second. I've been pulling out my VR headset again this week.
Mhm.
And I am gonna be in the best shape of my life in like a week, probably.
Oh my God.
I found everything I could have ever wanted. There's a tennis game, and you're in the world. And so it's like you're playing actual tennis, except you can't do a backhand with both hands. You just have the one hand. But like I've been jumping when I'm serving. Like I feel like I'm playing tennis again without like obviously it's like not quite as strenuous as like actual tennis.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel it in my like shoulders that I'm like working out. And I won the tournament in Rome today, if you were wondering. So
Fantastic. I love that for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
And I also found this, someone had actually recommended it to me on Facebook before, but I just downloaded it today.
Yeah.
Of Supernatural. It has nothing to do with the supernatural.
Mm.
Let me start there. But it's a workout app. And it kind of makes me think of like you've seen the mirror apps where you stand in front of the mirror and there's someone like showing you the workouts.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that mixed with like the Peloton workout apps because it has really
Okay.
great music. But the only like workouts they have are boxing, flow, which is kind of a bit like strength. They do like lunges and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then meditation and stretching. And those are the ones I do anyways.
Yeah.
And so I did that like the first workout I did today was like to blue suede shoes. So I'm living my best life. I worked out for an hour on that today, and then I did tennis for an hour today, and I am probably not going to be able to use my right arm tomorrow, but it's fine. It's worth
It's
it.
fine.
So
I did not win a tournament in Rome, but I did win another week of fantasy football. So
I also won. So my players are still playing, but I am.
I have one player still playing, and so does she, but I'm 20 points ahead.
I had 3 players playing tonight, and I was 20 points ahead when we started the night. I think that they were already out, so I'm projected to do fairly well. But yeah, so I'm definitely winning this week, which I'm also stoked about.
I won this week.
Yesterday.
I won this week even with having Raheem Mostert on my bench.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. And I was like, I didn't get to see the
yeah.
games because I was driving back and forth to Long Island. And
so the Miami Dolphins game was fucking insane. I'm so nervous about playing them next week. Mostert got 43 fantasy points, and he didn't even have the most fantasy points the other running back did.
Wait, is he with the Dolphins now?
Yeah.
Oh, he was with the 49ers, I think, last time I paid attention to him.
Yeah. No, he's with the Dolphins, and with Tua
Fine.
throwing him the ball, he is a monster, and I am so scared for the Bills to play them next week.
Well, who knows? They killed it this week, it seemed. I got
Yeah,
all of my points from the
yeah,
Bills.
yeah. The Bills defense and Miami's offense though is going to be a fucking killer game, and I'm going to be at work, so fuck me.
I will be at home. I might watch it. I might watch it. We'll see what's happening in my life on Sunday. It's the
Okay.
Sunday night game, I assume, because they've already had their Monday night game. And
No, it's a
is
one
it
o'clock
Thursday?
game.
Oh,
No,
but
it's
it's
a
still on
Sunday, but
Sunday.
it's a 1 o'clock.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll check in.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
Perfect.
Um, but aside from that, this is going to be a bit of a weird episode, so I'd like to start with a little bit of a normalcy before we get there. So
Perfect.
please, if you could spiritually enlighten me, it would
I
be
would
much
love to. And then I remembered that I closed the quote that I had picked out. So just
right.
1 second, because I am an idiot.
It's
Um,
totally fine.
uh,
Sometimes spirituality takes time.
it does.
We're just here to embody that principle of patience. It's a virtue.
That is a
If you
virtue.
find it sooner, I'm just gonna start saying some
Oh my
nonsense.
God. What the f I lost it. Where did it go? These are all stupid. I swear I had one that wasn't stupid.
All
But
right.
okay.
I can
Oh,
talk to
no, it's
find it.
okay. It is. This is not the one that I was going to use, but it's one that I like also.
Perfect.
People won't have time for you if you are always angry or complaining. Stephen Hawking.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
I feel that. I feel
Yeah,
that deeply.
yeah. I realize that there's a lot of people I don't like, but it's just because they're never fucking happy about anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I be happy, find joy, and then go watch a horror movie and you'll be fine. So that's how I get out of all of my
um, every
bad feelings.
everything that you just said, I did not hear because my headphones cut out again.
Oh, but like the world heard me.
I sure hope so. So
Okay. I
hopefully,
was just I was just in summation then. I was just saying like definitely like go find happiness and be happy about things, but then go watch a horror movie to get
yeah,
out all the like dark feelings.
perfect. I love it. Fantastic.
So speaking of horror, it is indeed Thriller Thursday. So we're here to do a wrap up of season one. I was telling Mary Kate before the podcast, this is the first season wrap up I have done in 17 years.
Mhm.
So I didn't know what I was doing. And so I don't know what you're going to get. And we're just going to
Yeah,
hope everyone's happy about it
we
because
us
it's
we
who we
usually
are now.
don't. Yeah, we usually don't do season wrap ups with the horror shows because the seasons are so short. But this just felt like too final of
Yeah,
an
losing
end.
the Rance family, we needed to like clear the air.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we're here for that. So to start, and please, Mary Kate, jump in with any comments, questions, concerns throughout because
absolutely.
I I need you for timing. Um, so I'm just gonna kind of start by going over a bit of like the different people we've dealt with and like the groups and kind of run down and thoughts, theories moving forward,
Okay.
condolences, leaving them
Yeah,
behind. So I'm starting with the Rance family because they are the icons of the season, as you can imagine.
absolutely.
Um, we do start the season where all of the concerns have landed on Kat because she's in her depressive era.
Everybody
Um,
always blames the sad lesbian.
exactly, exactly. And so turns out, of course, to be Casey who's possessed by the demon. We get all of the like fun facts that Angela is actually Reagan, and so then we get Chris showing up, and we've talked about this before, but this is the only other entity that Chris McNeil has been in of the franchise, aside from the upcoming film Believer, which is
Which obviously, if the new movie Believer is canon, the TV show isn't,
mhm,
because everyone that is important in the new movie is dead in the TV show. So
right.
that is a little sad because I really, when I found out that this included the McNeils, I was like, oh, maybe the TV show actually like fits into the canon. And then it for sure didn't. Which
So
is
it doesn't fit into canon with any of the movies except the first one. This is meant to
well,
be a direct follow-up to the first one and does
yes,
not.
but also most of the other movies also not really fit with this first movie.
Tell you that's going to be our next discussion, so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
We'll talk
Okay.
about the original franchise as a whole before we move into season 2. That's going to
Beautiful.
been off the rocks. But yeah, so we get Chris, and then Chris dies, of course. And so it's just kind of like we had this really beautiful, I think, homage to the original film, and it tied up really nicely with how they kind of sent off the whole family. Chris McNeil has always been kind of a wild card with, is she going to talk to the press? Is she not? Is she part of the family now? Is she not? Like, and then so she died off, and then we sent away the Rances to have their own life. And so I just wanted to ask you, Mary Kate, what was the most like either heartwarming or surprising thing that happened with the Rance family that like spoke to you?
I mean, I really appreciated that Reagan / Angela didn't die. I think that that was like a really, really, because it didn't feel cheap.
Yeah.
And it also made up for a lot of the trauma that this poor family like has dealt with.
Right.
I think that was probably the most heartwarming thing, I would say. I mean, I loved the way Casey and Kat like supported each other, but I think like the episode that really like affected me the most in terms of the family was the episode where Henry finds out. Because just the way that he was so worried about his kids and then finding out that his wife had more to do with it and like how it like broke everything down, like that was just like it hit me in the gut.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that like the spoilery release of her being Regan, and like somehow the rest of the internet like doesn't tell you that up front when you like search The Exorcist. Like they did a really
I know.
good job hiding that.
I genuinely had no idea. And like to be fair, I didn't look into the show a lot because I attempted to not see things, but I did prior to that episode look at IMDb for a casting thing. And so, but even it did not. They did it so well.
Yeah, I know like before we started, I looked at the plot a bit to see like what we were getting into. Like I had to make sure everything kind of developed, like so I knew what to talk about. And I watched the pilot first, and then I went and started doing research, and I looked up, these characters, and I looked up some like interviews, and I looked up like some like ratings and reviews and stuff, and it just like wasn't there. And I feel like it's the same, like this is almost, I don't know if it's more or less like as surprising than finding out that Violet's dead. Like in American Horror Story. Like it
I
had
will
that
say
same
those
level
those
me.
two, in everything that we've watched on this podcast, those two moments have definitely stood out to me as being the most like jaw-dropping. Like there were twists and baits that like really got me. There were things in Hemlock Grove that shocked me because that whole show was shocking. But I mean, and then Dead Like Me and Stargate I have previously seen, so I didn't have a chance to be shocked by anything.
But even I mean, this is my first time watching Dead Like Me, and while there were things that like surprised me that I wouldn't have guessed,
they weren't shocking. Yeah. But it was the Violet and Reagan are I was
and it was like
flabbergasted is the word I would use.
Yes. And their storyline was so well written. I mean, it was like you said, it didn't feel cheap. It didn't feel like they made choices to get the shock value.
Yeah.
wrote it and they weaved it into the story where it all felt like it belonged there. And you weren't, while you were shocked, you weren't like, this doesn't, like, everything made sense still. Like, it was
And I will
so well
say,
done.
I know we talked about the fact that it was on network TV, and I know that some of the level of gore was shocking in the terms of it being on
Right.
network TV, but nothing, even the stuff that like grossed me out that I was uncomfortable with, never felt like it was being done for shock value. And with a demon franchise, that's not always true.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm always, I never know what to expect with a demon because there's gross scenes. We watched The Exorcist. We've seen the vomit, the like blood,
Yeah.
the like stuff that like just is just kind of gross, but it's not to the level that I would have expected. They did a really clean job at keeping it still
Mhm.
horror and gory to an extent without being gratuitous,
Yeah.
which was nice. Um, yeah, but I thought the Rance family was written pretty perfectly.
The,
Like,
I think the only scene I can think of that I genuinely was uncomfortable with the level of gore, even then it was necessary, and because that would have been the subway scene.
yeah, yeah, but
You
you had to
had to you had to have Henry see how bad things really were. You needed
right,
that moment.
yeah, because it wasn't even meant for us. It was meant for Henry. Like,
Yeah.
um, and even though I know the beginning we talked about with Henry specifically, like, I was like, this is a really fast transition from him like barely being able to speak to him like being able to think things through. But I thought after, even though that was a complaint I know I had in the very beginning, the first couple episodes, I feel like after that was kind of settled, like episode 3, episode 4, like, even it was very smooth after that. Like, his
I do
like
think,
recollection coming back, like,
yeah, and I think they discussed it. I don't remember what episode it was where he was telling Father Tomas that like some days he feels like he doesn't know who he is and some days he feels like himself again. And so they
yeah,
like kind of did that, but I do wish that the pilot had maybe not like mentally handicapped him quite as much because
right,
the transition from the pilot to the last episode um aren't the same character. And I
no,
think that that still is probably my only genuine like plot hole is I think that saying that he has on and off days because he has a brain injury is valid, but the level
the
of
extent,
handicap that they made him in those first episode and a half aren't viable for what they did with his character.
right, right, for sure. Yeah, I agree. But I did love the family dynamics throughout.
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, Kat's progression from going to the sulky teenager who wouldn't talk to anyone, or I guess she's like a young adult because she's in college.
Yeah.
But like, to being almost like the strongest one in the family. I mean, Casey did the same thing though. It was both of them, but they did it in their own ways. So it wasn't like we just copied one character to another, which was nice too.
Yeah,
Um,
it was nice that they both felt genuinely strong in very different ways.
yeah, yeah. Um, Yep. So that is the Rance family. We will not be seeing them again. Do you have any last minute thoughts for them before I tell you a bit about the franchise?
I mean, I'm very interested to see where we go next because I think one of the reasons why I liked the show so much had a lot to do with the Rance family. And I fear that despite my love of Marcus and Tomas, I don't know that the second season will hold up just because I do think that family was so much the heart of it. And so I don't know that I have any real final words, just my trepidation.
I will tell you, I do not know anything about the second season, but from reviews I was reading today, everyone says the second season's better.
Really,
So,
because like I said, I only have the one friend who has seen it all and she does not think so.
so the
She
hesitancy was due to a cancellation timing,
mm,
which I will talk about towards the end of the episode. But
yeah.
content wise, they really liked the storyline of the second season.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and I think so. Marlo, my friend Marlo, she is obsessed with The Exorcist. Like she loves Reagan as a character. She loves the original movie, and she didn't hate the second season
yeah,
by any means. She still enjoyed it very much, but she definitely liked what they did with the first season better. So I'm very curious to see where I fall on those things because I tend to trust her judgment with horror stuff.
Yeah, I'm also interested because, it takes away the nostalgia factor when you don't have the original characters anymore. So
Right. But to
I
be
am also
fair, we
interested.
didn't know it was the original characters till halfway through and we were still really invested in them.
That's true. That's true. We didn't know
So,
that. Yeah. And speaking of the original characters, I figured since we haven't watched it, I was going to give you a brief rundown of the other movies in the series,
beautiful.
and what they touch on. My plan, since we are firmly in the 31 days of Halloween of horror movies, so I may have already watched these. My plan is to watch them all in October, so I know before we finish up this whole series what's what.
Yeah.
But of course, the next movie is The Exorcist 2. Linda Blair is still in this movie. Ellen Burstyn is not, obviously. But this movie is investigating the death of Father Merrin. So it is like
Okay.
a direct sequel to it.
Okay.
But the demon they use, as opposed to a traditional demon like Pazuzu that we used here, is a
Yeah.
succubus that's a doppelganger of Reagan.
Oh, that's fucked up and I hate everything about it.
So I don't know. It didn't get great reviews. I think it
Um,
had the worst reviews of the whole franchise, was the second movie.
well, I think that falls firmly in a conversation we had in what episode 7 or 8, where we discussed the
Yeah.
fact that it's
The
um,
sexualization of,
the sexualization of the child and the inappropriate aging of
well, this
Reagan.
is, I don't know. I think this may have been 15 years later. I think this is, so I think she's an adult at this point. Like,
Okay.
it follows up. So we are seeing a lot of stuff we already know for the second one, but I do think she is an adult in this movie, I think is what it said, 15 years later.
Okay, well, because it only came out 5 years later.
Mm, maybe so. Maybe it was the next one's 15 years ahead. But yeah, so I believe she's meant to be an adult in this one, but maybe not. I'll let you know. I'll
Um,
let you know when I watch it how terrible it is. Um, so that's The Exorcist 2. The Exorcist 3 followed, but it didn't come out for
um, I
quite
just
a
want to
while
say,
after.
I just want to say that James Earl Jones is in the second one.
He is. I don't
Uh,
know his part. It's an interesting cast in throughout the journey of
oh,
the.
sorry. Wikipedia says she's supposed to be 16 in the second one.
Oh, then maybe it's that the third one came out 15 years later.
Okay, so
So still not great.
still not great. Better than her being 12.
Sure.
But still not great. Still icky.
Especially since
Um,
it's an adult man who is investigating the death of Father Marin. So yeah, a little icky. So I'm not surprised it got bad reviews, but
yeah,
I will tell you more at the next wrap up how I
great.
felt. So The Exorcist 3, completely new casting. Reagan's not in this one. Obviously, Chris isn't. It is more of a detective-y one, which is strange. It's the investigation of the Gemini killer, who was based off the Zodiac killer.
What the
So
fuck does that have to do with exorcisms?
there's someone gets possessed during the middle of this. So there is a possession and an exorcism, but the main story is wildly different from anything we've seen so far. So I don't know,
Great.
but it had better reviews than the second one.
Well, because it doesn't have a teenage girl sexually murdering people.
Probably. I think it's one of the detectives that gets possessed. I did a brief, I didn't want to spoil everything, but I did read through the plots of all of them.
Yeah.
So I think it said that it was one of the detectives was possessed during the investigation, which makes sense.
Bonkers.
And then we have two movies that came out a year apart. One is called The Exorcist: The Beginning, and one is called Dominion. They are both prequels. They both follow Father Marin's story before the dig that we see in the first movie.
I
They
think I
are
would like that
basically the same
better.
movie. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
very interested in this. They are basically both the same movie, with different people in them. I
okay.
want to watch them and then deep dive more into what happened there. But they came out 2004, 2005. So they came out 1 year apart too.
Interesting. I'm sure one of them is better, and that is the one that we should probably
I
use
think
as our.
Dominion.
Okay. I would say that's the one I would like to use as my canon prequel.
Yeah.
But
I, So they said Dominion was finished writing before Exorcist the Beginning came out.
Yeah.
But they do follow essentially. I mean, they're both. I'm sure they have different storylines, but they are both about Father Merrin before he found everything. It's like it leads up to him finding things at the dig. Um, and fun fact that I'm kind of stoked about, assuming that everything goes well. Uh, they've already signed on for 3 movies with Bloomhouse for the new trilogy. Like, so we have
Interesting.
Believer comes out next. I did not write down the name of the second one that comes out, and they don't have a name for the third one yet. But the second one's projected for 2025, and they're all with the same director and all with Bloomhouse Productions. So
Fantastic.
that'll be interesting. I'll let you know.
The trailers for this new movie look fucking wild.
They look like storyline. I'm gonna really enjoy it. Like I'm really looking forward to the storylines, and of course, Chris McNeil comes back, so that's always a fun twist. But I've seen 2 different trailers for it now. I saw the very first trailer a few weeks back, and then I just saw another new trailer. Like
I saw one yesterday that was like just like a teaser that really kind of felt like somebody made it on CapCut.
Yeah, I think that's what they're playing right now.
But it's not, I don't mean that offensively. It's just not like it doesn't give you a lot of story. It just gives you a lot of like scary, but even that looks good. And I don't usually like those kinds of trailers. So I'm fascinated.
Yeah, it's the one I saw Friday is a chopped down version of the first one with like a couple of extra like scare scenes in it.
Yeah.
But the first one was like a pretty long trailer that I think it had a lot of the storyline. Basically, 2 girls both get possessed with the same demon, and
their
families and
their parents find Chris.
Yeah, because they start acting super weird, and they disappeared for 3 days, and they felt like they were gone for 3 hours. So we'll see. Something got him in the woods.
So it's like the Blair Witch Project meets The Exorcist.
Yes, correct. 100%.
Beautiful. Perfect.
So I'm very excited about it, and I'm hopefully going to see it. I think they start showing it next week. I want to see it Friday the 13th, but I don't know if I'll wait it out, or else go see it next week.
I will wait until December when we have to watch it for the podcast.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. That's fine. So
mostly because I don't fucking have time in the next few weeks to watch anything.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So that's the original franchise, the leading up franchise, the Rance family. We have now gotten rid of all of the McNeils. We're moving into next season's territory. So I want to talk about Tomas starting out. And his journey was really fun. It was very like it had its ups and downs, but it was a good way to see him grow.
Mm-hmm.
As a priest, we saw a lot of the sins that he committed that fall outside of priesthood, obviously. He lied about his grandmother. He lied about hearing God. He kept an emotional affair with Jessica for who knows how long before they had a physical affair.
Yeah.
And now he is going against the church to be an exorcist. So what are your thoughts about Tomas, and where do you think we're going with him? Like,
no. I've never been more annoyed by a character in anything ever, because anytime there was a possibility of doing the right thing, he did the wrong fucking thing.
Until the very last episode.
Single time. And while the redemption was beautiful, the problem is the redemption was so strong and so beautiful that I genuinely worry about where he is going, because the whole dynamic with Marcus and Tomas is that Marcus is indignantly righteous and he knows that he is flawed, but he ignores his flaws deliberately and chooses the good every time, and like is like the exact example of what you're supposed to be as a Christian, because you know you're fucked up and you know that you make mistakes, but you choose God every time the option is there to you, right?
Yeah.
Tomas is what most of us are actually like. We're in our heads, we're doing the right thing, but we continue to fuck up every time, and we never really know what to do.
Right.
But then he had this beautiful, holy, come to Jesus, quite literally moment. And that changes the dynamic.
Yeah.
And
I think that's going to be because we're going up against the cult of demons. So like,
right. So we
we
need them
have to
both to be stronger.
yeah.
But which is great if I was actually just trying to fight demons. But if I'm trying to have entertaining television while trying to fight demons, I worry that the new dynamic isn't as satisfying dramatically.
I think that's very fair. I also worry where we're gonna go with him because I feel like he had his full arc this season.
Mm-hmm.
So like he doesn't have anything left for an arc. If that like I don't think we're gonna come back to his family. I think they were a first season we'll never talk about them again thing with his nephew and his sister. Um
Thank God nothing happened to Luis, but also what a waste of a character.
What a waste of a character. I really thought, like, especially because we're going through everyone that, like, Tomas loved. I mean, we see him be, like, tempted by the demon with Jessica and with his grandmother's story and all of this stuff. And it's like, sister's, like, alive and kicking, and he's allowed to care about her. Like, why is she not also in this? Like, it felt like it was a setup that fell through, and they were just like, we're going to put that on the back burner. We don't really
Which, if they then come back to it and use his family, his living family in season 2 as a strength rather than a weakness, fantastic. Love to see it. Hesitant. My problem is I believe that season 2 could be good. I'm just in a place where I'm so satisfied with the ending of season 1 that everything I think about season 2 is hesitation.
Yeah, I have no idea what, like, I mean, I always have like an idea of what the storyline is going to be with the creepy cult stuff, but like otherwise, I don't know what we're planning. Speaking of, next up is Marcus, and we saw him go through a lot of arcs this season, but also he still has enough character development left. I feel like that he's like his character is going to flow well into the second season. I feel like, whereas with Tomas, we feel like we had our top to bottom and we're done.
I think so. And I think it's because he is a very purely written anti-hero. In that he isn't, I mean, he's good. He's a hero. He's a good person, but he isn't, he's a Batman, not a Superman, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that gray always gives you layers to work with. Because somebody who has that many levels of gray, but is always going to come out on top, there's so much you can do with that.
And we see him like succeed and fail throughout. So like, it's not that he's just like, he doesn't have a top to bottom. He has an up and down. We see him start out with a kid who dies from the exorcism. And then we go in and we see him like come out on top, saving Casey from the exorcism. And then we see him drop down again whenever Cherry and,
Lester
die and the nuns die, and it's like all this stuff that he's like gone through, and then the very end he comes out on top where he saves the Pope, but he also knows that that's not the end. And so it's like he never stops growing, he never stops having things happen to him, and he has more trauma to like,
I was gonna say he has enough trauma that we could tell stories with him forever.
So like his character is so much easier to work with and has such a better written story that like Tomas is more one-dimensional and he's more naive, he's more like he's less experienced, he's more like,
and I do think that is slightly the fault of the original concept of trying to mimic the movie in their characters, and Father Merrin and the young priest, who I never fucking remember his name. And they started with that as their inspiration and like built on that dynamic, and then didn't have anywhere to go with it.
Yeah.
At least for Tomas.
I saw a quote earlier when I was looking, and they were like, it stays very true and it does a great homage to William Blatty's story from the novel, for better and for worse. Like, you know, it stays very true to it, but like some of that is good and some of that like was a detriment to the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I 100% agree with that. And our last like really catch up and prediction before we get towards the end is going to be our creepy cult of demons. Where are they? Where are they now? That's what we're looking at, because Father Simon was the leader of it all, or whatever they called him. And everyone, we lost some of the like henchmen. We like didn't really know a lot of their names other than those like few core ones. And so the people we know that are left, we have Maria, who is trying to be in charge.
Fuck that bitch.
Right. And the police commissioner. And then everyone else is kind of the like low key people we've seen throughout.
Yeah, those are the last two of the like
our core that
leadership demons left.
Right. So I don't, so she said the Pope was never the like person she was aiming for.
It was never the goal.
Never the goal. Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know what the goal, like, are they trying to get to God? Like, what is their plan exactly? Because I don't know. Or are they trying to like take over the government, like, as opposed to the church? Like,
maybe that's not actually a bad thought, because like the whole point is to give demons free reign of the earth again.
Right.
And so you do that with whichever way you can seize the most power. And in our completely secularized world, the government probably does that more than the church. It's just, an extra fun little kick to destroy the church while you do it, I guess.
Right. It's like you have to start from within. And so like that's where they all have their like pass. It's like with the church.
But you know who isn't gone? The fucking French cardinal. He's still kicking. He's still around.
Yeah. I don't remember his name off. What was his name? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but he fucking tried to kill Bennett, so I don't care for him.
Yeah, I didn't care for him either. But like he's still around, but he's a little more low key. He's not as high up, it feels, as like the Marias.
Maybe in terms of the demon, but he is the closest to power in the fact that he's the one who's working directly with the Pope. So like that's not great.
Yeah. So we still like, I assume that means we're done with the Pope storyline. Like he's saved and we're fine. But we'll see. So I
don't know if that's an assumption I'm willing to make yet.
Yeah. I just like don't know. Like I'm so not sure what the plan is now.
Me either.
But yeah, so we'll come back to our creepy cult of demons in the near future, because I assume they are the main.
Unless we just don't. Like, could you imagine if that just never came up in season 2?
That would be the worst writers of all of history. Like, if they just didn't come back.
That would be worse than Hemlock Grove season 3.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it would bonkers. And our last real person that's left alive, but I don't know that he'll make another entrance. Father Bennett. I think he might be going about his way. I mean, I love him.
I think
he might be going off to like run the church stuff.
I think so. I think it may be like he's not there for the first half of the season, and then when we get to the final buildup of the final battle, he shows up again. Like that, it might be that. So like he might be in like 7, 8, 9 kind of thing.
Yeah, that's possible. I think that's possible. Because I feel like he's kind of like disconnecting himself, especially if we're not like, if we're going from the Pope, obviously I would expect him to come back. But if like we don't go in that direction, if it is like a government direction or like who knows what other direction it would be that's not involving the church, I could see him just like stepping out of it. Like, because he's also like, I mean, we also see he's not that strong of a like fighter, and he does have people to lose. So
he does feel like he's more. Or he's less of an exorcist. I don't know that he ever was an exorcist, or if he was just in charge of the exorcists kind of thing.
Yeah, I think maybe he was more in charge of it than like actually.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So I do have some trivia for you. It was not easy to find, so it is just a few pieces.
Well, because you clearly didn't get it from IMDb, since they told you nothing.
Did not get it from IMDb. I did already tell you that that our entire show ignores all of the sequels to the first film. So like
Yeah.
everything I just talked about with the franchise does not reflect on the second season at all.
Yeah.
It obviously didn't on the first.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
One thing I found very good that they did, because it is a more modern show, they were very particular in their casting. They only cast people in those roles who were those people. So like Alfonso Herrera is Mexican and he's the Mexican priest. You have Ben Daniels, who is British, and he is British in the show. Father Bennett, I've forgotten his name off the top of my head, but he is African and he plays the African priest. Like they're very particular in their roles, and even like Van Daniels is gay, and then also so is Marcus. So like
Yeah.
they were very very careful in their casting, and I thought,
Now,
and they
is
explained
okay,
that very
is he
solid.
gay? I know, no, here's the thing. I know there has been speculation, but I've seen things online that said that he's bisexual.
That Ben Daniels or
No, that the character, that Marcus is bisexual.
oh, I think they said. I think it may have said like in the facts. It may have said like he was queer. So I don't.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if I like just said that. It may just be that he's queer in real life and queer on the show.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, they were very. They followed that, and that follows into the second season. So there's a lot of characters in the second season who also have very specific like regions they're from and stuff, and they all are reflected by the actual like actor who plays them as well.
Love
So
that.
that's nice. I don't remember if we talked about this when we did the Exorcist movie. And so if we did, apologies, but if we didn't, it's very fun. William Blatty based Chris on Shirley MacLaine. Um,
I
did we
don't know
talk
if
about
we did
that?
talk about that. No.
I didn't think we did because I saw it today and I know I have a terrible memory, so I was like, maybe I just forgot. But like
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. And then my last fact, I will say no more than this, but I will tell you this. That The Exorcist was meant to have a third season, but it was cut when Disney acquired Fox. And so that is all. I will probably tell you the actual wrap up for the whole series, what the third season was supposed to be about, because it had a whole storyline. And we're not going to get into it. But I won't tell you now because I want to
My question is that did it get canceled because of finances with the merger, or did it get canceled because of content with the merger? That is my.
I will not tell you. I know the answers and I'm not telling you.
What? No, tell me. And now you don't have to spoil anything in terms of what the actual content was, but like, was Disney financially unable to want financially?
It was a financial move.
Okay, I just wanted to know if they were financially unwilling or if Disney had a problem with the content because occasionally.
No. It was.
Okay.
I thought you meant like how the content played out. No, it was financial.
Yeah, no. Not that I'm not.
Do
I don't want spoilers. I just know that sometimes Disney is particular about the things that they put their brand to, and I wanted to make sure that they weren't being assholes and that was just a financial.
I mean,
move.
they were, but financially, not content.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I mean, here's the thing. We say that, but it is very difficult to actually know the true workings of every detail of finances in offices. And there's a lot of things that I don't believe should have been canceled or things that I believe should have been canceled that I could not begin to understand the true financial bottom line. So it probably was an asshole move, but I also don't, if it was a financial move, I don't want to just like call it out for being an asshole without understanding.
I will tell you there was it was one of the higher rated shows at the time when it got canceled. With viewership and with like response.
Okay. It's hard though because ratings don't always actually translate to money.
No.
It's details that I can't begin to fathom all of the things. Like if something has no rate of viewership, what is the point of keeping it online?
Right.
But like even if something is rated well, if it's not actually pulling in more money than it's spending,
yeah.
I'm
still blaming them based on everything I read. But
I mean, that's fair, but I would like to do more research before I call anyone to fault, and I won't do that yet.
Yes, we'll wait for that. I'm sure we'll talk about this again in the next wrap up. So I do have some season 1 reviews for you that I found
I
interesting.
love a good, are any of them really terrible? Because I love a good, really
Yes.
bad review.
I have a few
Fantastic.
of each. I have a few of each. So my
Good.
favorite review, I think, it's very well said. I 100% agree. It says, this is a deadly serious drama that wants to ask big questions about faith and doubt and good and evil while scratching its undiscriminating Friday night audiences horror flick itch. While scratching, I don't know what I said. By Chris Nashadi. He was a top reviewer on Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like,
Beautiful.
yes, that is accurate. Because it does, I mean, obviously we saw it did end up focusing a lot more on good versus evil as opposed to like pure
Yeah,
for you. Like,
I love it.
yeah. So another, this was it. That was like a top review. And then this is 10 out of 10, alluring and captivated. Let me make sure there's one of these that has like a bit of a spoiler in it, so I didn't want to say it. Okay. I'm really attached to the characters. They feel real to life. These characters gave me hope and motivation to keep pushing ourselves in our life, to never lose hope and never let go. It kept telling me, don't let down. The action and direction is like a masterpiece. Um, if I could get the series going again, I would have done it. So
Love that.
that's from I Am Watching You 29356.
Thank you.
So 10 out of 10. I have another 10 out of 10. I will not read this whole one. It's very long. It just says, it's easy to give a 10 when it's flawless like this show is. Every episode is phenomenal. It says, now this is how you make a series, especially when you're using the iconic Exorcist name. It
Yes.
actually gets, it's actually better than the original film because you get 20 episodes of it. So they also said
Okay.
Ben Daniels deserves an Emmy.
I would
As
agree with that. 100%.
It's so rare you get a horror series or a great thriller series where we're going to buy this on Blu-ray so we can watch it over and over again. That's joining JT. So then
Man,
one
if
out of
only
10,
they'd known that Hulu existed.
right? I mean, they would have been set. This one, 1 out of 10, nothing can exorcise this rubbish. And then this one
Wow.
says there's spoilers, but there's no spoilers.
Okay.
It doesn't even talk about the show. 1 out of 10, it's just called really boring, boring, boring. Come on, what's with all these great reviews? No atmosphere, ridiculous story, as if mass demonic conspiracy would happen. Haha, awful waste of my time. Why did I bother? I don't know. Watched it having breakfast during lockdown. So it was just funny. I was like, that's a crazy one.
Yeah.
So we had our ups and downs of reviews as we normally do. But I did think I thought that first review was very well written.
I do. I appreciate that.
Okay, so now I have a bit of a history lesson for you
Oh,
on Pazuzu, our demon that we have dealt with this whole season and with the
fantastic.
first movie. He is a Mesopotamian demon. He is the only Mesopotamian demon to be used in film or TV,
Okay.
which is fun. He is in a patrapaic entity. He is he's like the head god or the head demon of wind for destruction.
Okay.
And he also is a protector, and this is from the Greek sense of it.
Okay.
So he's destructive and dangerous for wind. He's caused damage with famine, locusts, and destructive storms. He was blamed for spreading malaria and typhoid, spreading diseases throughout the wind.
No.
He also inspired a serial killer named Pazuzu Algarad, who killed a ton of people in 2014 with his girlfriend or partner or something. But the most interesting part of it is I said he's a protector, but he's specifically a protector of women and pregnant women, or mothers and pregnant women, because his counterpart that I did write down the name, start with an L, is the destroyer of those people, and apparently she tries to kill these people and injure them and hurt them in pregnancies and all this stuff, and he is the one who protects against her through all of this stuff. And so people will put up his statue when they're like pregnant or like mothers or like trying to conceive or stuff to counteract this other demon who is like anti children and pregnancy.
Lamash too.
That's the one. And so like he's always had conflicting like beliefs about him because he like Shore is trying to destroy the world with storms and diseases and whatnot, but he also like super protects like mom and pregnant women. Like, so it's like, I don't know. Is he a bad guy or not? I mean, he's also a demon, like, regardless. He's like just a protector
Yeah.
demon. So, like, he's not great, but he is what he is. Um,
Interesting.
so that's who we've been dealing with all season, and he is obviously not any of those things really what we've seen.
No.
Um, but it's fine. It's fine. I also wonder if we're done with him for the next season. I don't know if we're moving on to a new demon now that we've kind of like locked him away and beaten him down. Like,
I think so.
because
That felt like a very final, and I feel like it would cheapen Reagan's victory for him to come back.
I think so, because his one goal was to get to Reagan. And
Yeah.
then now that that's over, like, I feel like
Yeah.
he's done with it. He's like, because he didn't care about the other stuff going on. Like, of course, he was like,
No.
gonna wreak havoc while I'm here.
And
But
he was
like,
like, I'm
otherwise,
better. It was more like, I'm better than you. I'm in charge because I am superior, not because I
right.
want to be in charge.
Exactly. So I think he's probably done for as well. Um, so while we're here, I wanted to talk about some other popular exorcism movies, and you can tell me if I have not seen any of them, but you
Okay.
can tell me if you've seen any of them or if there's others you've seen that you're interested in. So the newest one is The Pope's Exorcist. It came out this year. I've not seen it, but I've heard
I've
good
not
things.
heard. Oh, I was going to say that's the one that I've
Really?
heard not good things about.
Oh, I heard good things. I don't know. Like, I haven't
Okay.
heard a lot of things about it though. So like maybe I just saw the like three people that liked it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Um, The Rite, which I had never heard of, but it has a
No.
crazy cast.
Mm.
Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Medium, The Last Exorcism, Deliver Us from Evil, which I heard is terrifying. Um, may or may not watch it. The Wailing, The Conjuring franchise, of course, which we're
Yeah.
familiar with. Vera Farmiga. The Devil Inside, which I also heard was terrifying, and
Devil
The
Inside
Witch.
is the one that I will never, ever, ever, ever
The
watch.
Devil Inside.
Yeah. And have I told you the story?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I
So this had to have been back in like whenever the movie came out, the year that the movie was coming out
think it was like
was,
2014 or something. It was like,
yeah, something like that.
mhm.
And is back when Pandora was the thing that everybody used to listen to music. And I was cleaning my room and I had my Pandora on, and the picture popped up before the ad started, and it scared me. And I closed the app, and like not just like closed out of it, like closed the app, and the ad did not stop playing. Like I tried to turn off my phone and the ad would not stop playing. And I obviously am not the huge horror person anyway. And in 2014, I was for sure not a horror person. And
Yeah,
so this app, like this ad, like following me, it fucked me up. And to this day, that is the one movie that even if I got over my feelings about kind of like exorcism movies and watched every other movie, I would never watch that one because it fucking terrified me.
that's totally fair. That's all. Yeah, that's terrifying. You had not told me that story before,
Yeah.
so maybe I won't watch that one then.
Yeah.
But the last one that I saw on this list of 10 is The Witch, which is our favorite Anya Joy Taylor's first film, and I'm very
Oh.
interested in watching that. And that, after I like thought through, like, we don't normally do a wrap up. That was my plan, was to have that movie as our in between,
Mm.
because we love her and it's an exorcism film, and I've heard from a lot of people who love horror that that's their favorite horror film.
Okay.
And so I've heard good things. I will still watch it. If you all would
Yeah.
like with me, please join. But obviously we're not doing it right now because we're doing this instead. We're here for you instead.
Yay. And then we already know that our end of the show movie is
We'll
going to
be
be
there.
the new one. So,
Right, of course. So just go watch it on your own time. I'll be watching it in my October watching. Yeah, so that is a lot of the fun facts I have for you. The wrap up. We've kind of
it
done
is
it all. Is there
also available
any?
on HBO Max if you want to watch it.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I just pulled it up on Just Watch to see if
Yeah, I knew it was on there, but I didn't know if it was still on there because I haven't looked in like a couple months. So thank you. do you have any final thoughts about this season before we wrap up and move into our new season?
I think I've expressed all my thoughts pretty well.
Yeah, and we did a run through of everything. Any
Yeah.
last predictions?
No, I mean, obviously, Marcus and Tomas are going to keep kicking demons' butts. I think that you're right that the big bad is going to be this cult still. I think that if Bennett comes back, it'll be
Towards
the
the
back
end.
half of the show. Um, I think that my prediction, that's more of a hopeful prediction, is that no matter what happens, Maria will still not get fucking anything she wants. I just
I hope she
hope.
dies before the end.
Oh, me too. But I hope that she is miserable the whole time.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
um,
assume that we'll get more demons that join our little demon cult. Do you,
yeah.
and we've already looked at like the cast list. We see there's so many cast members that we haven't seen yet, um, that we recognize. And so I wonder if any of them are going to join the Tomas and Marcus little duo. We do get our little
Maybe.
Scooby gang. It's just not with Cherry and Lester.
Honestly, I'm so upset. I mean, it would have been completely against the vibe of the show. It would have been a terrible, terrible direction to take the show in, and I understand exactly why it wasn't where they went. But man, would I have killed to see a really fucking terrible Ghostbusters-esque Scooby Gang show
I mean,
for
it would have turned into
season
a black
two.
comedy. I mean, it
It
would
would
have
have.
turned into, it would not be the true horror that we're getting.
No, it wouldn't. It
So,
wouldn't at all.
yeah,
I understand completely
yeah.
why I am thinking on a different plane of existence than the people who made this show, but it's all I want.
One of the comments did say they were like, "This isn't a horror; it's a black comedy." And I was like, "I don't think you understand how genres work." I was like, "This is like," and then other people
Um,
were like, "If you took out the supernatural, this is just a straight drama." And I was like, "Okay, that's fair. Like,
that's
this is
fair.
definitely a huge drama
It
like
is it
show."
is definitely a drama with horror elements,
Right,
or
right.
or even somewhere between the two.
Yeah,
Um, there is some funny dialogue. That's not untrue.
but this is
It's
not a
not a black
comedy.
comedy. No, no,
No,
no, no. It doesn't even have enough jokes in it to be a dramedy. Like it's not.
right? No, yeah,
No.
it's off the wall. I was like, that is the worst comment, most wrong comment I've seen since someone said that Janet was useless.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I was thought they had lost their mind. But yeah, so I agree. I don't have a ton of predictions otherwise that we've said either. I do think I hope so. I did see one of the characters is John Cho, who I love, and
I
he
do love John Cho.
always plays a detective. So I'm hoping that he's like on like a detective on the team with like Tomas and Marcus, but I obviously don't know. That's just who
Hmm.
he always plays. I feel like when I see him,
Yeah.
and so it feels right up his alley.
I haven't looked at the cast list to see who we get for next
So I
season.
looked today. Don't look
Okay.
because I will surprise
Oh,
you, but I know because it's a lot of people that you're going to be excited about. I
yeah.
just wanted to call him out specifically because I love him.
Yeah.
But we have it's a lot of, it's probably like the same amount of people we introduced in the first season will also be introduced in the second season. It's quite a
Okay.
bit. So I think we're gonna beef up our cult. I think we're gonna have some sort of team that's gonna have to work with them. That's gonna have to be outside of the church because I think we're
Yeah.
past that. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
like a little detective squad with them. I'd love a Cherry and Lester, someone who's just like on the outskirts of society, just kind of doing their
Yeah.
own thing, like a private eye type thing. I'd love that. I don't know if we'll get any of that, but it'd be nice.
Would be.
Um, but yeah, so I think that's also all of my predictions. Since we are doing a wrap up, do you have like a person you want to punch for the season?
Oh, I mean, I could go with like Pazuzu or something like that is really truly but I'm gonna pick Jessica because
I,
fuck that bitch.
do you think she's coming back?
I fucking hope not.
I don't think she's coming back. I think we ended that storyline.
We
I think
better
that's I
have.
think he let that go, and that's how he's becoming an exorcist, is because he let Jessica go and his grandmother's already dead. So
Yeah.
no one's left. Like, so I think maybe she could come back as like a demon entity, like it happened when in the beginning when he was trying to talk to Casey. I could see that, but I don't think
Yeah,
she'll actually come back as a character. Just as like a reflection, maybe.
right. That's fair.
Um, yeah. So I thought that might be a good fit, but I went with Father Simon because he
That's
is the
fair.
worst.
My second place was Maria,
My
actually.
second place is also Maria. Because I hated her from the beginning, as we all
Yeah.
know. Never liked her, never trusted her. Oh my gosh. Oh, we'll say our MVP, and then I have one more thing to say. I forgot.
Okay.
Uh, so who is your MVP for the season?
Father Marcus,
The Angry Man.
the
I know.
angry man.
God, he is the correct answer. Um, God, he's the correct answer. So since you went with him, I'm gonna go with Angela. She
Fair.
had her ups and downs. We know she's on her way out. She really did justice, I felt like, to the Reagan character. So I'm and I mean Gina Davis, my God. So
Yeah.
she's mine. So I found a trivia for season one only, that we can share on our social medias. It is mostly easy, but it is just season one. So if you want to I mean, it's been what, 10 weeks now, 11 weeks by the time this
Yeah.
comes out. So maybe you've forgotten some stuff. If you want to do a quick refresher before we get into season two, I will share that on the social media.
I love it.
Um, and everybody can take the test. I did miss like five of the questions, but they were like
Really?
very specific things that I like
Yeah.
numbers that I didn't remember the exact number and stuff like that. So it was not content wise, but stuff like that I missed. So, anyways, that's all I have. This has been your season one wrap up. We are going to get into season two soon. We are going to have the end of our first half of Stargate in the next episode of Sci-Fi Sunday. So we are just like rocking and rolling. And
Oh,
if you have any predictions for season two, if you have feelings about season two, um, anything, if you have
yeah.
feelings about season one, if you want to talk to us about the wrap up of Reagan story, because that is obviously a big thing, a big
Yeah.
deal. If you're excited about the new movie, if you're excited to hear it's a trilogy coming out, uh,
Right.
let us know. Let's talk. Let's chat. You can email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. If you want to talk to me about the new American Horror Story season, please do. I need friends to talk to about that. You can find me everywhere at CE Cloud 13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for Sci Fi Sunday. Bye.